Hello and welcome to Social Media for Humans, the podcast that empowers you to do social differently. Your host, Alexis Bushnell, and her guests discuss their experience of social media as business owners, users, and ultimately humans, with insights and advice to help you find an effective and ethical strategy that works for you. Grab yourself a drink and join the conversation.
Hi, hello, hi, I'm Alexis. My pronouns are she, her. It has been some time. I am gonna ask you to pretend that it has not been, and just go with me as I talk to you about the Fediverse. So with the launch of BlueSky and talk of Meta's version of Twitter, and yeah, let's not talk about what's happening at Twitter. Um, with those things in mind, I want to kind of try and explain the Fediverse to you because I know a lot of people don't know that it exists, don't know what it is, don't know how it works, don't know any of that stuff. I will preface this by saying, if you are a techie person who is like uber duper into the Fediverse, this is not the episode for you. Like, when I say I'm gonna boil it down to like, don't have a clue terms, that's where I'm at. Okay, that's where we're going with this. This is not gonna be the complete guide to the Fediverse. This is literally entry level. This is essentially what it is. So that's what's happening. So if you are here from the Fediverse, hi, probably also bye. Maybe check out a previous episode. Cool. With that out the way, let's go. Okay, the Fediverse basically is social media, but nobody owns it. Well, no one person owns it. So whereas at the moment we have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, blah blah blah. Okay, they're all owned by companies. And if you are on Instagram, you cannot see tweets because you can only see tweets on Twitter. And any combination. They are all separate, entirely separate. They cannot communicate with each other. They are totally different platforms. They are owned by businesses for profit. So the Fediverse is basically the exact opposite. So you have the sort of big quote platforms like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Mastodon is probably the best known at the moment in the Fediverse, but they are open source. So the code and the ability to build on those platforms and start your own essentially mini social network on each of those platforms is freely available. Anyone can do it. Caveats, nuance, blah 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 blah. For the purposes of this podcast, anyone can do it. Okay, so you have these sort of big main platforms in like the style of posts that are happening there. Also, different platforms, different communities, stuff like that. But they all talk to each other. So if you are on anywhere on the Fediverse, again, if the nuance, context, caveats all over the place right now, generally speaking, essentially, regardless of where you are on the Fediverse, you can see content from everywhere else on the Fediverse. So you can be on, I'm going to use the traditional social media titles so that we're not confusing people, but essentially you can be on Twitter looking at Instagram posts. You can be on Facebook looking at TikToks. You see, it all talks to each other. It's all, if you're listening to the audio only, by the way, you're missing so much like visual gesticulation happening here. It's fabulous. So they all talk to each other. So you don't have to be on every single platform. You can pick the one that makes the most sense to you, the one that you enjoy the most, and you could just have the one account. You don't have to. You can have accounts on multiple places. You can use them for different things. You can have accounts on multiple instances. Um, so an instance, rewind. Okay, an instance is essentially like a mini social media platform network thing on the larger platform. So for example, Mastodon, that's usually what I use. I am on the Toot Whales instance on Mastodon. That is basically an instance for people who live in Wales. Um, you can join it if you don't live in Wales, but but I do. So that's where I tend to hang out on Mastodon. Um, but there are also instances for disabled people, artists, neurodivergent people, activists, techie people, book fans. If you can imagine it, if it's a thing, there's probably an instance for it. Um, and essentially, on that instance, you can then view just people who are like posting in that instance. So only people who are in that instance. So, for example, go back to Toot Wales. I can choose to view just people I follow and the actual people in that instance, so that only the people who are also on Toot Wales, or I can view um the whole feed of the whole Fediverse, which, not gonna lie, moves fast. So would not recommend. Um, you can also, again, I am talking about Mastodon here. That is where like I hang out. You can follow hashtags. You can follow people. You can follow people wherever they are on the Fediverse. They don't have to be on your platform or on your instance. Um, so it's very interconnected. It is very anti-capitalist, I will say that. There is an entirely separate culture on, again, Mastodon. I'm going to say Mastodon. I'm not going to say the Fediverse. I cannot speak for other platforms. Um, but there is a separate sort of culture on there. It is very focused on accessibility, on inclusion, which is another reason I love it. I think it's amazing. The ability to add alt text is just there and encouraged. People post about it all the time, like make sure that you're adding alt text. So that's cool. So it is a very community driven place as well, because by the nature of it, you have to have somebody who is prepared to put the money up to run an instance, and also the time to actually host it, to moderate it, to make sure it's updated and working and all of that kind of thing. Um, and the team around them, depending on how big the instance is, you have to have the people again to moderate it, to take care of it, to make sure everybody's okay, everything's working, nobody's got problems. And so because of that, it is very community focused. Again, another reason why I love it. So all of this to say, if you are looking to ditch Twitter, which my professional recommendation is that you should be, maybe I'll do a whole separate episode on Twitter. The thing is, as soon as I do the Twitter episode, it will be out of date, and it'll be out of date as soon as I stop talking. Anyway, we're not ranting about Twitter today. Um, so if you're thinking about getting off Twitter and you're like, do I try BlueSky? Do I wait for Meta to launch their Twitter alternative? No. Okay, my advice: try the Fediverse. Give it a go. I will pop links in the show notes, in the description, in the doobly doos, in the wherever. There'll be links in places to better information about the Fediverse than I have given here. If you would like to go more in depth, learn a bit more about it, figure out like where you would fit best, where would make sense to you. But my advice is try the Fediverse, because if we want change on social media, which I think if you're here, you do, um, we have to vote with our feet. And the Fediverse is providing a community-driven, no ads. It is very difficult for businesses to exist on there in the sense of corporations. For various reasons, which I won't go into because that's much too that's not a 101 discussion. So there is, if you want social media to look different, if you want social media to be focused on people, on communities, on small businesses, on anti-capitalism, on creativity and kindness, I strongly suggest you check out the Fediverse and give it a whirl. If you have specific questions about it, I cannot answer them because I am not an expert in the Fediverse. However, you're welcome to send them to me, and I will have a hunt around the Fediverse generally and see if anybody will come on the podcast to discuss it. Because I feel like that might be a smart move if I'm going to do another episode. So if you have questions about it, whether you're just listening now and you're like, oh, you didn't mention this, or I would like to know more about that, great. Or if you've like hopped on, you've created an account, maybe you've had a look around and you're like, oh, I don't get this, please explain that to me. Drop your questions either like in the description if you're here on the YouTubes, if you're on the podcast, like audio. Oh, I'm so confused. Then you can find me on Instagram at Alexis Bushnell. You can find me on the Fediverse at Alexis Bushnell. Where else am I? LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Alexis Bushnell there. I'm also on Facebook, but I'm basically not on Facebook, so don't find me on Facebook. I think that's maybe where I am. It's been a long time since I did one of these. How do I how do I end these? I don't remember. Oh my god. It's been a year. It's been a year. So okay, we're just gonna wing it. Find me on social media. Ask your questions about the Fediverse. Stay tuned for a new episode, maybe. Yeah, we'll we'll go with that. Okay. Toodle pip. That's definitely not how I usually end it.
If you want more regular reminders to find your own way to use social media, follow Alexis on your social platform of choice. All the links will be in the show notes. Until next time, be a human.